Hey, welcome back. Today I am updating you on this new garden that I started last fall. A bunch of the shrubs I got on discount, so it was really exciting just to sort of have a lot of plants to sort of plug in right away. I had moved where I'm standing right now, all the compost out of the area. It was a little bit too close to the house, so we wanted to change the location of that. So we used all the rich compost that I'd been collecting over the years to make these new beds. And then I decided to edge it out in a different way. I had edged it very, very wide because you know what they say, always make wide pathways so wagons fit. But then I decided I wasn't going to need pathways this wide because it's just a different type of garden, more of a walkthrough experience, if you will. So here I am edging the beds. I'm getting rid of the extra landscape fabric. I use that for the pathways. This is just sort of a nail in with the landscape staples. Edging, really easy to use, not super fancy, but just very, very easy to use. And then I put some cardboard down just to make sure that none of the pastured grass was going to come through. Topped it with some good soil, and then I was almost ready to plant. Okay, so this is what we're adding today. This is a silver mound artemisia. It's beautiful. Usually I just sort of pulled it out, transplanting it from another area. And then we have some winter sowing jugs. This is Colorado yarrow, tetra white feverfew, noble maiden lupin. I think those will be really nice. And then the ajuga. I plan to put the ajuga and the artemisia sort of alternating on either side of the path. I think that'll be really, really pretty. And then some more things I started from seed. Foxy foxglove, some Rudbeckia Sahara, I believe. And this is the wrong tag. This is actually Vision Pink Hardy Geranium. Only 2 of them made it, but I think I only had 5 seeds. So we'll see how those do. And then some sedum I also started from seed. A little bit trickier to start, so we'll see how those 2 items take, but everything else I think will do really well in this area. Okay, and then just for reference, this is the area where the pergola is going to go. I'm not sure when that's going to happen. You know, I've kept my husband busy with enough projects, so no pressure to do this, but that is sort of the vision for this space. A little pergola, maybe continue the stepping stones in this area too. Just an area where we can have shade, but also feel like we're immersed in the garden. Okay, so then walking into here, we've got the 2 beds on either side. We've done the silver mound artemisia separated across from each other with the ajuga on either side. I think that's going to be really, really pretty. I did add some blue fescue over there in front of that statue. I'm not sure if I like the placement. I do like the statue there. I like how it's sort of not the first thing you see when you're in our yard, as we're not super formal. It's more of just like a tucked away little moment. And then dispersed in here, there are some perennials in here that I planted last year. Like you can see a little tag here. I've got some oriental poppies. So I haven't completely weeded this area, just waiting to see, so just to make sure I can sort of identify them first. But I did do the tetra white feverfew here, sort of sprinkled throughout the bed. I did the caramel rudbeckia, which is an annual, sprinkled throughout the bed as well. Sort of like this idea of just one continual thought going through the whole bed on either side. I think it'll be very soothing in the end. And then I ended up doing the lupin, I think 4 on each side. That was the noble maiden lupin. I think that's it. Feverfew, rudbeckia, lupin. I think that's it. So I think it'll be really nice. I feel like I always say this just to see it sort of fill in. But yeah, love the differing colors in here. And of course the bushes in the back there are 9 barks, which will get quite big, which will hide that sort of chicken yard back there. Well, thank you for joining me. Thank you for trusting me as I sort of take some of these gardens from one sort of unsightly area to, I don't know, progress. We're heading in the right direction and it does feel hopeful. Thank you for joining me and I'll see you next time. Bye. And then another day of planting after I had sort of played with the stairs a little bit. Yeah, not done professionally, but I'm pretty proud of myself. I think they're quite cute. So my vision was just to have these Walker's Low nepeta sort of gracing the corners of the stepstones down to the lower level of this garden. I saw this picture, I'm not sure where, but it was just so inspiring to see sort of like soft stairs, if that makes sense. I just think that plants do such a great way of sort of softening the rough edges of hardscaping. So yeah, these get to be quite big, almost 3 foot tall and wide. So I think they'll do really well at sort of softening the edges, like I said. So I planted these. I actually transplanted them from another area of our yard. I had used them, or had hoped to use them in the flower farm, but they're not exactly what I was going for bouquets. So instead I'm using them for landscaping. And nepeta is one of those plants that the more I have of it, the more I love it. Quite often I get sick of plants if I have too many of them, but nepeta is the opposite. I think the more I have in my yard, I'm just so thrilled to have it. So here I am just sort of tucking them around the corners and then watering them in really well. I find after transplanting, they definitely wilt, but by the next day or two, they definitely perk up. I did add a couple to this statue area as well. And then using some of the plants I grew with the winter sowing method, some lupins. The My Castle is just beautiful magenta pink, very vibrant. And then the chandelier is almost like a chartreuse green or very muted yellow, definitely a beautiful white color. So just dotting these around, hoping that they just give me glorious blooms. Of course, lupins will bloom the second year that they are established. Well, I'm so happy to end this video with the pergola. My husband, daughter, and I decided for Mother's Day to start the assembly of this pergola. This is a kit, it's called the Yardistry 12 by 10. We bought this kit on clearance during the winter months at Home Depot, and it just waited and waited, and I was being very patient because I had already asked my husband for the greenhouse, which is nearly complete. I'm definitely using it. I've got tomatoes and peppers in there now. I wasn't expecting the assembly to start on this pergola now, so I'm very, very excited. So far, we've only got the 4 posts, but like much of this property, everything is sloped, so it was a bit of a challenge just to make sure that they were placed in the way that we wanted them. My husband did modify them as well. The height of the ones on my right are a little bit higher than the ones on the left because we have some extra clear glazing polycarbonate panels from the greenhouse that we thought would be really nice to put on top of this pergola just to keep us dry from the elements. So there is a bit of a slope there for the rain and the snow. Anyway, these braces will also come down once we've got the roof structure in place that will just sort of hold the whole structure together. But my vision for this gazebo is to be sort of an entrance and separate from the rest of the yard. The yard is very open, and I wanted this to be a little bit cozier. Speaking of which, I would like some help naming this garden. At first I was calling it the secret garden because it's sort of tucked away and unexpected. But then as I was building the stairs and going into the lower portion, I was thinking, ooh, sunken garden, that might sound kind of nice. But then also there's a pergola, so I'm not sure if we should call it the pergola garden. Let me know your thoughts in the comments and we will name this garden together. So I do plan to stain this cedar black. I just feel like it'll be a nice continual sort of color throughout the garden. The greenhouse is black. I'm planning to paint the vegetable garden fence black, and I think it'll just be very nice and it'll flow really nice together. I do want to put some sort of gates here as well. Again, it's more of an entrance pergola, if that makes sense, not just sort of an open flowy pergola, if I'm explaining that well. And also I'd like to put lattice on at least one of the sides as well to have something to give a little bit more privacy as well. Maybe a climbing rose, honeysuckle, clematis, one of those beauties will definitely add a lot to this structure. We also need to level up the gravel. So far there's a bit of a slope, again, like everything on our property. And I'm not sure if I'll do some sort of patio set here or a table. We'll see how we use this space. But yeah, there will be sort of a walkway going through, but I do want to enjoy it and sit under there as well. Okay, so here we are. Like you saw, we did the ajuga on either side, alternating with the Artemisia silver mound. I think it's going to be really nice, sort of drawing you forward. And then I found this cute little statue at Winners. Planted the blue fescue and the nepeta, Walker's Low. That took a little bit of a hit transplanting, but I'm hopeful it'll return. And then we did the lupin down there, other winter sown perennials mixed in here too. And I'm really, really excited about, excuse the chickens. They're always wanting to go back out into their yard, but not today. We have stuff to do. So I'm thinking this is going to be really nice to sort of cover the edges of the stairs and really soften the edges, if that makes sense. So these are the stairs here. And then of course we've got the 9-bark, some maples on either side. I still have to deal with the grass on the edge of the fence there. I think I'm going to have to bury it with some cardboard and mulch or something because it's going to slowly creep into this bed very, very quickly if I don't do something about it. And this pathway has yet to be finished. I did break this stepstone, but I think I'll put some landscape glue and see if I can repair it. And then I'm going to continue the pathway here. These timbers are to sort of retain this wall right here. Not sure how I'm going to end this garden here. That's a big question mark. We will see what happens there. But I do know that this path is going to continue on at least to the lilacs. There's 3 lilacs right here. Hi, chickens. But turning around, I'm really happy with how the stairs look. I did them myself, so of course they're not professional. And even my husband would do a better job than me, of course, but I was impatient and I'm actually really, really happy with how they've come. I would not take my grandmother-in-law down these stairs, but I think for your average adult, they would be fine. And this isn't a main area as well. I think it's just a little bit, I think it's tucked away enough that they're not going to be used a tremendous amount. We do have access turning over here for a wagon if I ever do need for this lower portion. So I'm not too worried about that. I kind of wanted to create smaller pathways. At the beginning I had them very, very large. And then I thought, why am I doing such big pathways? I want more plants. So that was a change that was made. But like I said, so this one's a little bit larger. You can see how it's going to sort of fill in these cracks of the crevice of the stairs. They get to be at least 24, maybe even 30 inches wide and tall. So I think they're going to be quite a beautiful presence on these stairs. And moving back up. Another thing my daughter helped me with was I had this big pile of just compost and garbage in this area, and now this is all cleared out, which again leaves me a spot to think about what I want to do with. Definitely need some plants. My other thought was if this side needed to be sort of lattice and closed in as well, because like I said, I want this whole pergola to be more of an entrance, as well as a place to sit. But definitely put lattice on this side here, or some sort of grid that the climbing plant that the climbing plant of my choosing will go on. And this is my other question of if I need something here as well. The other thought I had was another pond. We love our pond up by the house so much. I thought maybe a pond would be really nice here, just to have the sound of the water and then a nice little set of chairs here as well. Let me know your thoughts. The benefit of having a channel is just to get all the flood of opinions. So let me know, what do you think? Should we keep this open here, or do you think closing it in with some more climbing plants to make this more of a cozier sitting area before we get into the garden? Would appreciate your thoughts on that. Well, again, thank you so much for joining me. It's so fun to keep you guys updated and show you what's happening around the yard. Of course, I will let you know when this is done and how it sort of takes shape. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.